Okay, this is my video on creation, and so if I'm gonna forget some part of this, like forget to mention some important part, I'll maybe make some small update on this, but let's get started anyway. So it's a difficult subject to talk about this, because no matter what you believe or what you say, you'll sound a little bit crazy in some way, because no matter how you try to explain us being here, it just sounds unbelievable. So, but I'm gonna give it a good try now. Okay, so how I believe things are is that in the beginning there was only God. There was nothing else. There was only God, and for some reason, I can't say why, but maybe God was lonely or something, but for some reason he started creating other beings, and these other beings he created, like I should say the angels, a large amount of angels, and everything that he created was good. And because God is good and God is love, so everything he created was good. And then at some point he decided to create this universe. And I'm not talking just about this planet or something, or this solar system, or where we're living in, but I believe he created this whole universe, everything that's out there, trillions and billions of stars, everything that's out there, I believe he created. And I believe this became out of, should I say, almost nothing, which the Bible also gives this impression. And the scientists call it like the Big Bang, like the Big Bang Theory. So I believe there is something that the scientists and the Bible kind of agree on, in a way, that what the scientists talk about the Big Bang, how everything started, I believe that's how God started everything, and he created everything. And so just looking at the universe, everything that's out there, millions of light years away, you get some idea of how big and powerful God is. So I don't believe God is some kind of a being that is hiding somewhere behind Jupiter or some other planet, just watching how things go over here. I don't believe that. I believe he created this whole universe. And also I think that that God and the angels that he created are in some way they are from a different dimension. They are not in this dimension as we see right here. They are in some sense they're in a different dimension. And for one example about this, I'd say that, like when Jesus was resurrected, he suddenly appeared in the middle of his friends and everything, apostles, or what the Bible calls them, and he came, as far as I know, which the Bible gives this impression, he came through walls and all that. He just appeared from out of nowhere, and so I believe he came from another dimension. And also, like, if you're familiar with, let's say, some scarier things, like some heard of exorcism or something like that, and demons or something like exorcism, the Bible does give the impression that these things do exist in some way, and from even from watching some of those movies on these subjects, you get the idea that they are from some other dimension. So they're not like beings walking around here the way we are. But so enough about that. But so the basic idea how I believe things are is God created this whole universe, everything that's here, all the stars, everything, and he created also all the angels that I don't know how many there is. I believe that it's a huge amount, and they are also beings that live somewhere in that other dimension that has some kind of a connection to this dimension that we are in, because the Bible mentions in several occasions that people saw angels and spoke to them. So somehow they came into this dimension. But let's see now. Also, if I'm kind of move forward on that, is that in the beginning there was no Satan. Satan, like someone might think that Satan is as if another god who is in battle with, should I say, the God Jehovah. And that is the truth. They are in battle, but Satan is not like an equal in power or anything like that compared to God Jehovah. I'm just using Jehovah here because that's basically God's name mentioned somewhere in the Old Testament. I'm not a Jehovah's Witness though, and so I should say the God of Israel. And so how Satan came to be, you've probably heard this story. Most people have. Satan is in the beginning he was a good angel. He was a very good, powerful angel. But somehow Satan started to get the idea that he could compete with God somehow. And so that turned into some kind of a bitter battle which escalated to the situation that we're in now. And when Satan started to kind of turn against God, he lost the light and the love he originally had, which was from God. He lost that, and what was left was more like darkness and hate and murder and all kinds of negative things. So he lost that, should I say, beautiful part, which was from God. And so basically Satan is in origin, he is an angel, that was created by God, who was originally good, but who started to somehow compete with God and turned against him. And then this also, what happened was there was a lot of other angels that took sides with Satan, and they are what we call demons these days, or yes, well, demons. And they turned into the darkness. They lost the love and the light that was from God. So anyway, when this battle was going on somewhere out there in that, what I believe is another dimension, God had created this universe and everything that's here. But this gets a little bit tricky in some way here. Like, let me mention about, let's say, for example, like dinosaurs and things like that. I don't believe in the evolution theory. I don't believe in that at all, really, not at all. I do believe that people and animals do physically adapt in some way to the surroundings, which is why there's like us people, there is different colors and all of that. And but I don't believe anything that man came from a frog or something like that, a fish into a frog and all that. I don't believe any of that. So, but anyway, a word still about like things like dinosaurs. I do believe in dinosaurs. I do believe there is evidence that they did exist and all that. And so when we get to the part of the Bible where Adam and Eve was created, and what the Bible talks about that, is that I think us people kind of tend to believe or think that we are the only things God created, and that we were like the original, the only and first thing God ever created. And I believe that is false. I believe in the beginning God created, I would say, the dinosaurs and who knows whatever else out there in the universe. He created so many stars, so many planets and everything that we have no idea what he created out there. And there could be different kinds of beings and everything out there. Who knows? We just don't know that. And also I think that like in a way God was, should I say, he was just doing his own thing. He wanted to do different things, try out different things, and that's what he did. He was like, in a way, he was creative. Like, he created us in his image, and I believe this, like we are creative in different ways, and so he also is creative and was creative in the beginning. And he tried out different things. He just created different things, and he thought this is interesting, and he had like a good time doing that. So I believe he created the dinosaurs, and like I said, there's a lot of different things he maybe created out there in the universe that we don't know about. And but the Bible, when it talks about in the beginning Adam and Eve and all that, I think it just tells us what we need to know, basically. It left out a lot of things. I think there's a lot of things the Bible didn't tell us, and which really in a way isn't that important to our situation. So it's kind of like in the Bible they left out a lot of things because, especially thousands of years ago, it would have been almost useless trying to explain all these things there. But so if I move on from here, in the beginning of the Bible it talks about the earth being all dark and all that, and that's that verse there especially. If you look at some translations, it says that the earth, in one translation it means the earth could have become dark and void and all that. It's not like it was that in the beginning. It could be that it meant in the original language that it became dark and void and like a disaster zone. So what I believe personally is that when Satan and God started their battle began, I believe that at that time there probably was the dinosaurs or something else like that, like the dinosaurs I would say, but all that was in some way destroyed or died during that battle or somewhere around there. So when we get to the part where God created like Adam and Eve, Satan was already a fallen angel there, and he came to tempt Adam and Eve and all that. So Satan was a fallen angel at that time, but originally he wasn't. And so when we get to the part where God created all the living things here and all that, the plants and the animals and Adam and Eve, a lot of things could have happened before that, like I said, the dinosaurs and everything that the Bible doesn't talk about. And so anyway, what the Bible says in the creation, also what it mentions about something about how many days, like about a week it took to do the whole thing. There's no way of us, how could we believe that 6 days or something it mentions there would be the days on our planet, this planet we're on? If he created the whole universe, as I believe, he must have a different kind of clock or something. I don't think he's counting time like we are, like according to how this small planet spins around. So I think it's more like a metaphor, the days and all that. I believe it's just a metaphor, like. And but some important things about Adam and Eve still, like if I remember correctly, I haven't read these parts lately, but first God created Adam, and then he brought all these animals to Adam so he could name them and all that, and there was no Eve at that time. And then God noticed that Adam is kind of like lonely or something, and he's missing something. And after giving it some thought, God came up with the idea of creating Eve. And at that time, now we figure this is, of course, there's always been men and women, but at that time, in the beginning, it was probably quite a new idea that there could be like a man and a female and all that. So it was probably like a really cool new idea. And so then in the Bible it says that God put Adam to sleep, and he took a part of his some part from his body, which he actually created Eve out of that. And Adam was quite happy that he when he saw Eve, he was like, like, wow, and can imagine that. Well, anyway, Adam was really happy to see Eve, and one thing about creating Eve, long time ago I heard, people were laughing about that, like, yeah, right, like, so God is going to take a piece out of, like, this was before all this cloning stuff. People were laughing that, like, there's no way you're going to take a piece out of some guy and create Eve out of that. And they were even, like, kind of thought it was funny that, put him to sleep and everything. But isn't that what, like, scientists and doctors do today? If they're going to do surgery, they're going to put the guy to sleep and they're going to cut a piece out of him. So maybe that was God did the first surgery there, and then he did the cloning. He took DNA out of Adam, and he changed a bit of the DNA, a few parts of it, and he created Eve out of that. So I think it's not like, I just think God probably did the first surgery and the first cloning there. And I don't see anything really that strange about that. And he did some changes on the DNA. So then if we move on from there, God created Adam and Eve and all the plants and animals and all that. And so then in some part there it says that when Adam and Eve had these a few children or something, so it mentions that one of his Adam's one of his sons or something, goes to another town and finds a wife for himself there. And I remember hearing some people saying, so if Adam and Eve was the first people on earth, how did Adam's son just go to the nearby town and get himself a wife or something? So where did this nearby town come from and all that? But the explanation to this is that Adam and Eve, like the Bible says, I don't remember the exact ages, but they lived to be about 1,000 years old, Adam and Eve. And people at that time lived a lot longer. Like, our lives are really short, very short compared to that. And so I read from a book long time ago, and I can't confirm this information or anything, but according to the book, it said that there is some really ancient writings that some Jewish people had, and some manuscripts or something, and according to them, Adam and Eve had, like, during that 1,000 years that they lived, they had, if I remember correctly, it was 53 children. Adam and Eve had 53 children. And about half of them were boys, half of them were girls. And I know it may sound incredible, how is some female girl going to have 53 children? But you figure they lived to be like 1,000 years old, so they had a lot of time to do these children. And if you think, like, if you're like one of the older folks, you know that even today there's women that have, I've heard one guy say that that in their family, his mother had 16 children. And one guy told me, and I believe him because I've heard a lot of stories where one female had like 10 children, which was very common like 50 years ago, 100 years ago. And I heard one guy say that his mother had altogether 16 children. And these are people that lived only to be like less than 100 years old. So figure if a lady lives to be 70, 80 years old and she has 16 children, imagine a lady that lived to be 1,000 years old. Having 53 children isn't really that difficult at that time anymore, when you figure how much time you have. So anyway, since Adam and Eve, they lived so long and they had 53 children, well, all these children together, they were together, and they had more children and more children and more children. And by the time Adam and Eve passed away at about 1,000 years old, they had like cities filled with their children, like big towns and everything. And someone there in the book I read at the time mentioned how many people eventually there was once Adam and Eve passed away. And I don't remember the number or anything, but it was a huge amount of people. And someone may wonder, how would they, sister and brother and all this, be together and have children and they're not like, don't have any defects or anything, which they would have today in many cases. But the thing is that at that time, their DNA didn't have the faults they have today. Their DNA was perfect. God created them basically perfect. They didn't have all these defects that we have today. So today, if there's relatives that are too close to each other, they have children together, they have the same faults in their DNA, which causes problems of this sort. But Adam and Eve and their children didn't have any defects in their DNA. So when they had children together, there was no problems of that kind there. So that's how it started that way. Adam and Eve, they had 53 children. Their children had children, and so on. And eventually, by the time Adam and Eve passed away at about 1,000 years old, there was huge amounts of people all over the place. And so that's how it started there. And let's see now. And another thing about this, it might seem strange to someone that everything started from Adam and Eve, and Eve was cloned. God cloned Eve out of Adam. If you think of things like I was at one time I learned computer programming and stuff like that, and we would have like thousands of pages of very extremely complicated computer code. And if you needed to do another program that was a bit similar but had some different functions, you wouldn't start doing all the thousands of pages of code from the beginning. You would just take this original thing you have, like 10,000 pages of code, you would just copy that and make the changes to that code that you have to make, so that new program would work in a different way. You wouldn't start doing the whole code from the beginning, which would probably take you years to program. So I think that's the same thing with Adam and Eve, that the DNA and everything in Adam was so, should I say, unique and so complicated that God figured, why would I write all this code from the beginning when I could just take a small piece out of Adam where all that code is, and just make a few changes to that, and I'll have Eve. So that's how I believe God did that. And also here, I think is I should point out maybe that some people think that God is like some old man somewhere sitting on a cloud or something, but that's just not the right picture. I don't believe that. Think about, first of all, God created the whole universe, the stars that are so far that even if you traveled at the speed of light, yeah, it would take you like thousands and thousands of years to get even to the closest star. So God created all of that, and then think of all the creatures, all the animals and everything he created on this planet. All the bugs, I mean spiders, flies, everything. And he designed all of this with extreme wisdom and knowledge. And so which brings me to another point. I don't believe that God just has some kind of a magic wand. I don't believe that. I don't believe he's going to pull out his magic wand and say a few magical words and create a new type of bug or something, or animal. I believe he designed it. I believe he put some thought into it. He created it in some way. He created it, and he figured it all out. He figured out all the extremely complicated functions and DNA and everything, all the different parts. If you see some strange looking creature somewhere, I think that's God just used his imagination and he created that creature. Even the strangest creatures on this planet and the strangest bugs and stuff, animals, there's even bugs so small you can't even see them. You'd have to have some kind of a microscope to see them. And I believe God created all of that, and he designed all of that. He didn't use a magic wand or anything. He put some thought into it, and he, like an engineer or something, he designed it. And so I figure that gives you some kind of idea what God is like. How I believe he in his wisdom and knowledge and his power, he is way beyond anything we can imagine. And I don't think he's just gonna wave a magic wand and say, a few magic words, and it just happens like that. I can't explain everything on that part, but I believe God is extremely powerful and has extreme wisdom and knowledge, way beyond anything we can imagine. And just think, if you think of the extreme energy and power needed to just create this universe alone, which I believe he did, it's just beyond comprehension. So like I said, I don't believe God is hiding somewhere behind some planet or something like that. I don't believe that. And so let's see now, is there something about the beginning that I left out? So that's basically the basic beginning of all things. God created everything, the universe, everything. He created all the angels. He created Satan. Satan was good in the beginning. He turned against God for some strange reason, and the battle started from there. And also this, I believe God created a lot of things we don't know about, like I mentioned, the dinosaurs. And I think we are just one part of his all the things he created. But I do think that we are unique in a way that God created us in his image, and he meant us to be eternal beings. So in a way, God I don't know if this is the right word, but I believe he reproduced himself in a way when he created man. So we are kind of like God's children, and in that, for that reason, we are like precious to him. And that's one of the reasons why Satan also is in such a desperate battle for our souls, because he wants to do as much damage as he can, and should I say, attacking God's children. But that's I would say that's mostly about this creation thing and all that I have to say, and I'll get to the next subject then. But before I go, I'd still say that which I'll talk about more in the next video, is that in the beginning I believe this planet was quite different. It was like paradise, and I'll explain this more in the next video. But also this planet was, I believe it was closer to the sun, and it was very warm all over, and it was kind of different. So what you see now here is it's not what paradise was like, but I'll explain that in the next video, which is mostly I'll be talking about Noah's Ark and stuff like that, mainly Noah's Ark and what went on at that time. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Okay, thanks for watching.